Divisible projects are the projects. Divisible projects are the projects that start to generate cash flows. Before they are completed. Before they are completed. Before they are completed. The profitability index is used. The profitability index should be used.
Pardon.
Divisible projects are those projects that start to generate cash flows. Are those projects that start to generate cash flows. Generate cash flows before they are complete. Before they are complete. Before they are complete. Profitability index is used. Profitability index is used to make decisions. Make decisions on the project to undertake. May 2016 question 4. May 2016 question 4D. One of you to read first.
I'm reading. Laika Limited has identified 5 investment projects with the following details. Investment project, initial outlay, net present value investment. A 12024, it's in millions. B, C, D, and E, additional information. None of the investment projects could be delayed. Amount available for investment is limited to 300,000 shillings. Therefore, the company cannot undertake all the investment projects. All the 5 projects are divisible. Advise the management of Laika Limited on the most appropriate investment project to undertake.
All right. So in that question, in that question. They're telling you to advise the projects to undertake. Now, capital rationing here will say it's simply where you do not have enough cash. Yeah, where you do not have enough cash to undertake a project. We may have two types of capital rationing, hard or external. That one is a capital rationing cost by what? By factors beyond the organization. Yeah. Internal or soft is a capital rationing cost by the organization, by the organization. So when you go to that question 4D, yeah, you have divisible projects. Remember, we say divisible projects are those projects that start to generate cash flows before they are what? Complete. We have an investment project. Okay. You have your initial outlay. Then you have your net present value. $19.8. So now when you want to evaluate projects that are divisible, we use profitability index. We use profitability what? Index. And you know that profitability index is simply a ratio of your present value cash inflow divided by your present value cash outflow, which is your present value cash inflow. But we know another word for your present value cash outflow is your initial outlay. That is also another word for that. So far, we have our initial outlay. We don't have our inflow, but you have our NPV. We know that NPV is your present value cash inflow minus your initial outlay. So we want our present value cash inflow, which will be your NPV plus your initial outlay. Once we determine our present value cash inflow, then we proceed and determine our what? Profitability index. So hapa we get our present value cash inflow. And we're saying you're going to take your present value cash inflow as your NPV 24.0 plus 120. This is 144.0. Ingine 43.2 plus who? 160. 17 plus 100. 21.6 plus 90. 19.8 plus 110. So give me those totals. How much? Project B?
203.2.
203.2.
117. 111.6. 129.8.
So let's get our profitability index. Divide by your initial outlay. So give me A. Give me A. 144. Divide by who? 120. So you clear here.
One point.
How much? 1 point?
2.
1.2.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
1.2. The other one? B?
1.27.
Hmm? 1.17.
1.27.
D ngapi? D?
1.24.
Lastly E?
1.18.
1 point?
18.
Then you do what? You rank. Now you rank the projects according to the highest profitability index. So the higher the profitability index, the better the project. So that should be ranked number 1. So the first project you want to undertake is B, then D, then E, and this is 1.2. So this is 3, then 4, then 5, and 5. Real options in investment decisions. Real options in investment decisions. Have a subtopic, real investment in real options in investment decisions. C. C. Managers may make changes. Managers may make changes that affect cash flows, or the useful life, or both, once investment projects have been accepted. Once investment projects have been accepted. So A, option to abandon. E, option to abandon. Option to abandon. Option to abandon C. It involves determination. It involves determination. Determination of the optimal time to dispose an existing asset. The optimal time to dispose an existing asset. And replace it with a new one. And replace it with a new one. And replace it with a new one before the end of its economic life. Before the end of its economic life. The optimal abandonment time is a prime point. The optimal abandonment time is a prime point. The prime point. During the economic life of an asset. During the economic life of an asset. When the net book value of benefit cash flows, the net book value of benefit cash flows, the net book value of benefit cash flows is highest, or where the present value of cost is lowest. Or where the present value of cost is lowest. Is lowest. A, where abandonment can be done after only an year. A, where abandonment can only be done after an year. C, compare the present value of abandonment value. Compare the present value of abandonment value. With the present value of foregone cash flows. With present value of foregone cash flows. Our illustration. Abandonment. Say, example, consider the project which will cost, consider a project which will cost 1.8 million shillings. Which will cost 1.8 million shillings. And we'll have a useful life of 3 years. A useful life of 3 years. The project will generate the following cash flows. The project will generate the following cash flows. The required cost of capital is 13%. The required capital is 13%. And the asset can only be abandoned at the end of the first year. The asset can only be abandoned after 1 year with an abandonment value an abandonment value of 1.4. Advise the management. Advise the management on whether to abandon. Whether to abandon. Now, abandoning simply means you let go of that what? Or you stop pursuing that project that you're pursuing. Or you just leave it alone. And we have different ways of analyzing that, or abandonment babies of different forms. You can abandon a project once or an investment once during the lifetime. You can also abandon it more than once during the economic life of that asset. Yeah, so we are supposed to analyze each one of them. So I'm going to start with the first one, where the option is to abandon that asset or project only once during its economic life. What you do, you simply compare the present value of the abandonment amount with the present value of the foregone cash flows. So we are saying, yeah, you're going to compare, or you determine here, the present value of abandonment value with the present value of foregone cash flows. Foregone cash flows. So we can start here with the present value of abandonment value. So your abandonment value, you're going to say, it was what percent? It was 1.4 million. You multiply, this is a what? This is a single amount. It is a single amount. So you're going to multiply that by your present value interest factor. The cost of capital, if I can remember, was 13%, and that asset is being abandoned. When is it being abandoned, class? At the end of year what? 1. So 1 year. Year 1. Okay, so you will say this will be 1.4. Then go to your present value interest factor. So if, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Whoever unmute. Tafadhali mute. Please kindly mute yourself. I think all right, I think that's better. So go to your table and give me the present value of 13% year 1. 0 point what? 0 points?
0.8850.
How much?
1,239,000.
1,239,000.
239,000.
1,239,000.
Yes.
Is that 1,239,000?
Yes.
All right, that is the present value of abandonment value. Yeah? Let's get the present value of foregone cash flows. Present value of foregone cash flows. Eh? Now, the present value of foregone cash flows here, or when you say foregone cash flows here, yeah, are those amounts that you will have lost when you abandon. Eh? The amounts you will have lost when you do what? Abandon. For example, hapa, when you abandon in year 1, we will lose the cash flows in year 2 and the cash flows in year 3. Those are foregone cash flows. Eh? So we say we'll have your foregone cash flows from year 2. You have the year, the foregone cash flows now in easier. 2, 3, 20, 40. So you want the present values. So unakuja hapo introduce present value interest factor 13% and years. Then you get your present value. Then you get your present value. So give me the discounting factor hapa 0. 0. Remember, this is not an annuity. It is a what? It is a single amount. Eh? So you use table 1. Use table 1. How much? 0.
0.7831.
0.7831. I have an extra.
0.6931.
0.6931. How much is the present value? How much is the present value hapa?
642.14.
6?
42.
642?
0.14.
0.14. You agree?
582.
5?
82.20.
5 what?
82.
582, eh?
Yeah, 0.20.
582?
0.20.
Point?
20.
0.20. So what is your present values hapo? Give me your total present values.
$1,224.3.
How much?
1,224.34.
Is it 1224?
1224, yes.
Iko sawa?
Yes.
All right. Then now we compare. The present value of the abandonment is 1239. on the present value of the foregone cash flows is 1224. What that means if you continue selling that or using that asset, yeah, or if you abandon it, you're going to, that is the present value. If you continue, that is what you have foregone. Eh? So you're going to advise them, abandon after 1 year. Abandon after 1 year. 1 year. Abandon after 1 year. Because the amount that you gain for working with that or for using that asset from year 2 and year 3 cannot compare to the abandonment value of the 1 year. The abandonment value is still high. So you tell them to do what? To abandon it. Eh? Number 2. Is where you abandon. Where abandonment. Number 2. Where abandonment is more than once. Can be more than once. Where abandonment can be more than once. The same. The decision will be based on the net present value, at each possible point of abandonment. At each possible point of abandonment. Possible points of abandonment.
Kindly, Mwalimu, pardon.
We say the decision will be based. On the net present value at each possible point of abandonment. At each possible point of abandonment. At each possible point of abandonment. So go to May 2019, question 5C. One of you to read first May 2019, question 5C.
Okay, May 2019, question 5C. Roman 1 said, explain the term abandonment as used in capital budgeting decisions. Roman 2 Palakumi Agribusiness Limited is analyzing a youth empowerment project. The following information is provided. We have here cash flow, abandonment values in millions. The company's cost of capital is 10%. Required, advise the management of Palakumi Agribusiness Limited on the optimal time to abandon the project.
What? Now, where there is an option of abandoning more than once during the project, during the economic life of the project. Yeah. Your criteria of decision making, you should look at where you have the highest net present value. Yeah. For example here, suppose you abandon after 1 year. Or abandon after 1 year. Abandon after 1 year. So you have your year and your cash flows. Year 1, your cash flows are 8 million. Yeah, but remember, there is an abandonment value. An abandonment value basically is the amount you're going to earn when you abandon it, when you abandon that asset. So you're also going to earn 12 million. You're going to earn 12 million after you abandon it. It is the amount you're going to sell that asset. Then unakuja hapa, you get your present value inflows. The cost of capital is 10%. 10%. And at 10%, I believe that is 0.9091. That should be 9.09. Then you get your present value. So remember tumesema, this abandonment value is a cash flow. There is a cash flow. It is a cash flow. So hapo utapata your present value, cash inflows, then you less your initial outlay. Your initial outlay of this project was 16 million. How much? Papa? How much is your present value cash inflow?
I've gotten 18.18.
You're getting how much?
No, I've gotten 18.18.
You're getting
18.18.
18.18.
Yes.
So your LTV is to where? So now that is if you abandon after 1 year. Suppose you ask yourself, what if you abandon after 2 years? Or abandon in year 2? Year 2. Or after 2 years, eh? Abandon after 2 years. You have your year. Your cash flows, eh? Your present value inflows 10%. Then your present values. Let me write where it's visible. In year 2. Six, but remember, when you abandon in year 2, you're going to get 8,000. Eh? With the net present value. Do the same for the others. Do the same for the others.
I've gotten 18.84.
You're getting an MPV of how much?
2.84.
2.84, eh?
Yes.
All right, analyze for each year. Analyze All the others, analyze all the others. Analyze all the others. Which is, what if you abandoned in year 3? Or what if you abandoned in year 4? Analyze hizo. How much is the NPV? How much is the NPV?
For year 3 is 4.5.
4 points?
5.
4.85.
4.5.
4.5, eh?
Yes.
Year 4?
2.72.
So, all right. So therefore, your advice, you look at where you have the highest NPV, so abandon in year 3. Because the NPV is 4.5, it's 4.5, which is highest when we compare to the others. That is abandonment. That is abandonment. Up to that point, kuna swali?
Mwalimu, can you repeat the meaning of abandonment according to
Sorry?
this question? Roman 1.
About-
Abandonment.
Sorry? Kuna mtu alikuwa na swali?
Mwalimu, kindly repeat the meaning of abandonment. I think I didn't get it.
Abandonment tumesema is letting go of that asset. Is letting go of that asset or disposing it. Option. Vary output. Option vary output. Option vary output. Same. Same. It means expanding investments. It means expanding investments if conditions turn out to be favorable. Conditions turn out to be favorable. Or vice versa, or vice versa. Say, a decision will only be considered. A decision will only be considered if it adds value to the basic NPV. if it adds value to the basic NPV. Basic NPV plus, so the project work will be the basic NPV plus value of option. Value of option. So series. A company is planning to develop. A company is planning to develop and market. A product. To develop and market a product. And market a product. Annual cash flows expected are as follows. Cash flows expected are as follows. Cost of capital is 12%. But number one, basic NPV. Basic NPV. Basic NPV. Same. Number two, the company has an option to invest the company will have an option to invest company will have an option to invest an additional 1 million at the end of the 5th year, to secure national markets. Annual cash flows are expected to increase by 600,000. Annual cash flows are expected to increase by 600,000 in each of the years 6 to 10. In each of the years 6 to 10. Determine the MPV with the real option. Determine the MPV with the real options. Now, the cost of capital is 13%. The cost of capital is 13. It's 12%. So I believe you can get your basic NPV. I've given you the investment cost. Now, where you have negative cash flows, these are your investments. You have negative cash flows, these are your investment costs. Sawa. So what you'll do, utakuja tu hapo uchukue present value, interest factor 12% and alafu upate present values hapo. Alafu ukimaliza sasa kuja upate basic NPV. Because these are negatives, so when you have negative values, these are cash flows, Then NPV are three options. But just the value of that. Now they were saying the company will have an option to invest an additional 1 million at the end of the 5th year to secure national market. Annual cash flows are expected to increase by 600,000 from year 6 to year 10. So you have your year. You know, NPV will be your present value cash inflow, and as your present value cash outflows. So your present value cash inflows from year 6 to year 10 zitakuwa from year 6 to year 10, and the cash flows are constant 600,000. You multiply by your what? By your present value cash in cash inflows of an annuity, by your present value cash inflows of an annuity. So we are going to table 2, which will be year 10, which will be 5.6502. Minus year 5. Your 5 cash flows are 3.604. Remember hizi ni zile tuliita nini? Deferred cash flows. Tulisema zinaitwa deferred cash flows or differential cash flows. Deferred cash flows. And we did that tukifanya present value. So niambie hiyo ni ngapi?
Moja.
Unaweza kutumia hapo hiyo? Unaweza kutumia hapo hiyo.
Ni huko tu.
How much? How much is the present value cash inflow? Please talk to me. How much? Ongeleshani tafadhali.
Me, I got 1,227,240.
Then it will now asset present cash outflow will be 1,000,000 shillings. You multiply that by the present value interest factor 12% year 5. 12% year 5. Remember, this asset had an additional what? 1,000,000 that was incurring that was being invested in year 5. That was being invested in year 5. 1,000,000 times present value cash interest factor rather year 5. 12% year 5. So this will be 1,000,000 times 0.10. This is 5066 ama ni ngapi? 5066. The cost of capital should be 13%. 12, right?
56.74.
It's being incurred in year 5, 0.5674. It's confirmed.
This
5674 is the cost of capital year 5, 12%. Present value cash outflow, which go 1,000,000 times the present value is 0.5674.
567.
So the NP for abandonment, we pay your NP. Kindly, what is the present value cash inflow hapa? I didn't get you correctly. So how much is the present value cash inflow? Option to postpone. Option to postpone. Hapo unaweza kupata hiyo NPV Option to postpone. Say this. Investments can be postponed. Investment can be postponed when initial capital isn't enough. When initial capital is not enough. Or if postponement is more beneficial, because of factors such as improved technology, is more beneficial.
Mwalimu Baden, wording a question. What was the answer?
So let me repeat, investments can be postponed when initial cost isn't enough, or when initial capital is not enough, or if postponement or if postponement will be more beneficial, will be more beneficial because of factors such as improved technology. Because of factors such as improved technology. Have an example. A company wants to invest in a packaging machine that will cost 8 million. Company wants to invest in a packaging machine that will cost 8 million. And it is expected to generate $3 million.
Please.
A company wants to invest in a packaging machine that will cost 8 million. That will cost 8 million, and it is expected to generate 3 million per annum. It is expected to generate 3 million per annum over its useful life of 5 years. Over its useful life of 5 years. The firm's cost of capital is 12%.
Cost of capital is 12%.
It's 12%. A more technological superior package, a more superior packaging machine rather, a more superior packaging machine will be available in the forthcoming year. And it will cost 11.2 million. And it will cost 11.2 million. And generate 4 million per annum over its useful life of 5 years. And generate 4 million per annum over its useful life of 5 years. Required. Should the machine be purchased now? the machine be purchased now or in the next year or in the next year? So we're going to get, we're going to buy the N, or we're going to compare the NPV when purchased now. Compare the NPV when you purchase now or when you purchase after after a year. And then you compare the NPV when purchased after a year, after 1 year. So let's start. NPV is equals to present value cash inflow minus initial outlay. Now, this current asset or this packaging machine is costing 8 million, but it will generate 3 million per year over its useful life. Over its useful life, 5 years, the cost of capital. All right. So you're going to say the present value cash inflows will be, it is generating 3 million times your present value cash inflow. Your present value cash inflow of an annuity, 12%, 5 years, 3.6048 minus 8 million. It is costing 8 million. So remember that 3 million is per annum, eh? That 3 million is per annum. Right. So what happens when it is purchased after a year? What happens after it is purchased after a year? Wanasema a superior machine will be available in the bucket in the coming year. And the machine will cost 11.2 million and generate 4 million over its useful life of 5 years. Required. Should the machine be purchased now, or should it be purchased later after a year? All right. So remember, this asset is not being purchased in the year 2024. It is purchased in the year 2025. Eh? So we'll say your present value cash inflow utachukua is generating 4 million times. Remember, hapa means 2024. Hapo na hapa tunamaanisha 2025. Hapa. That is when you're buying that, eh? The year 2025 sum. So the cash flows utachukua 3, it is generating 4 million, eh? It's generating 4 million. It is going to be used for 3 years, 3.6048. How much is that? How much is that? minus your initial outlay, which is 11.2 million. Which is 11.2 million. How much? How much?
$3,219,200.
So this is in the year 2025. So tukifanya 2024 sasa, sema itakuwa 3,212,200 times 0. The present value interest factor at the end of year 1 at was it 12%? 0.8929. 0.8929. So let me explain. Remember, this asset is purchased in year 2024. Sawa? So you cannot be able to compare 2024 and 2025. So this asset when you purchase after a year is 2025. The cash flows here or the present value, or rather the NPV is the year 2025. So to make it 2024, we discount that 1 year. Or we discount the net present values here. For an additional 1 year. Ndio sasa tuweze compare 2024 na 2024 so that we now make a decision. I hope that is that. So how much is that?
$2,874,000.
How much?
2 million.
Kanini ongeza volume kidogo sikusikii.
28,74,42,3.
23? 20?
28.
28?
2 million. 74.
74?
42.
72?
42, 3. 423.
Sawa. So this NPV is in the year 2024, and this NPV is also in the year 2024. Therefore, now we can advise. So the NPV hapa ilikuwa 2025. Sasa umeifanya ilikuwa 2024 by discounting it. Hii nayo already iko 2024. So now we can be able to advise by comparing the NPV in 2024 and 2024. So what will you have? Hii ilikuwa ngapi?
28.
That was 2,814,400.
28?
14.
2,000,000.
400.
28,200, yeah. All right. So if you compare the two of them, you tell them to postpone. You tell them to postpone. Why are you telling them to postpone? Because the NPV in here after you postpone after 1 year is higher than the NPV when you purchase. So you tell them to postpone and invest in 2025. In 2025. Sawa? Sini sawa? Now we call it a day. We're done with that topic. So when you meet in the next lesson, we're going to do working capital. We're going to introduce a new topic known as working capital. Unless there is a question. Is there a question? In case there is no-
Mwalimu, I've not heard the last part. We asked them to postpone and advise them to invest in 2025.
Yes. Instead of
Okay.
buying now in 2024, tell them to buy in 2025 or to purchase it after 1 year. Because it
Okay.
has the highest NPV, yeah?
Yes.
Right. So let's call it a day. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. See you on Wednesday. So you remember you're starting a new topic.